Welcome everybody to our third tutorial on Xpaths. In our previous session, we have gone through 5 very important functions in Xpaths. In case you have missed it, I will be giving the link in the description so you all can go through the same. In this tutorial, we'll be looking at 7 very important methods in Xpaths which are also used. We'll also look at how to handle text by ignoring its cases as well as the spaces. We will now learn how to ignore spaces in your Xpath with the help of an example. So open up your Firefox or Chrome browser to this website. The link I will be giving in the description below. You navigate all the way till the end till you get this particular element here called as not logged in, and you click on this button here. The text of the element will now change to Tommy. Right click on the particular text and choose inspect, and that will tell you the details of the particular element. It is a paragraph tag having the text called as Tommy. So let us now write an XPath by using the text. So this is a paragraph tag having the text which is equal to the value Tommy. Now guys, I want you to click on this button here called as preceding spaces, and the moment you do that in your console, you'll now notice that there is a space right before your text. And now if you notice, the X part does not work because there is a space. If you put a space in your text, that will work, but without the spaces it is not going to work, right? So basically your XPath is dependent on spaces. Now how to make it independent of spaces, how to ignore spaces? Now that can be done by using the function called as your normalize space. So let us first understand what this function does. So guys, the moment you use a function normalize space and you pass a text inside of it, for example, let us use a text called as ABC. Okay, and as you can see, both the text ABC has got spaces before as well as after. So I'm using the function normalize space. I'm giving a text inside of it, and the output is going to be the same text without any preceding or trailing spaces. So this is going to be ABC. Okay, now note that if you have a space in between, that space is not removed. So if you have text like this, space ABC space C space, your output is going to be ABC space C. Okay, it is only going to remove your preceding and your trailing spaces only. Now with that said, what do you want to do in our case? My text over here is basically the text function. Okay, now the text over here is basically the text called Tommy. So moment I pass the text over here, it is going to remove the preceding and trailing spaces, and the output is going to be just Tommy without any spaces. Let me just put your single quotes here, and now let me replace this with your function inside of your brackets, and as you can see, it works now and it is ignoring all of your spaces. Just remove all of this. So now it is not just ignoring preceding spaces. If I do trailing spaces, you can see it still works. Even with preceding and trailing, that is spaces before and after, it will still work. So in this case, in this particular manner, by using the function called as normalize space, you can ignore spaces inside of your text. Now it is not just text, this can be done by using attributes as well. For example, this name attribute here, just remove this XPath here. Okay, this name attribute over here has got double A, right? Now what if I had spaces in my A, right? So that would not work if you just do something like @ID is equal to double A. This is not going to work because your attribute has got spaces before and after. In this case, you can perform the exact same thing by using this technique. So normalize space, but this time not text, right? You need to use your parameter called name. So @name, and the value is a value without your spaces, which is basically double A. Let me put my bracket, and as you can see, that works as well. So in this way, you can use attributes, you can use text, and identify them by ignoring the spaces. Now that we have learned how to ignore spaces, we'll now learn how to ignore or make your XPath case insensitive or ignore the cases. This can easily be achieved by using your translate function, also called as your replace function. Let us first understand how this works. So let me open up Notepad++ and paste this translate function. Your function translate basically has got three parameters. Your first parameter is going to be the string in which you want to perform your replace action. Your second parameter is going to be the parameter which you want to find and replace. So let me write it as str1. And your third parameter is going to be the string by which you want to replace. So let me write it as str2. Now let's take a better example with this. Let's say I had a string called as abcd, okay, and I wish to replace the I wish to replace the letter b with the letter x, like this. Then in this case my output is going to be a x c d, okay, because the letter b is replaced with the letter x. In this similar example, if I wish to replace two letters, that's let's say the letter b and the letter d, then I will have to give b and t, like this. Yes guys, although you give it as a string, okay, the function reads each character at a time. So the letter b will be replaced with the letter x, and the letter d here will be replaced currently with nothing at all. So I better give it a value which is y. Now with this particular condition in place, my letter b is replaced with x and my letter d here is replaced with the letter y. Now using this same example, I can now convert any text into from a uppercase to a lowercase. So what do I mean? If I wish, let the text be any text, okay? So any text, it does not matter. And if I replace all uppercase letters such as A, B, C, D all the way till the end, which is Z. So I'm replacing all of these characters with all the smaller case characters such as A, B, C, D all the way till the last character Z, and yes, you have to manually type it out. Then what I get is so let me write here the capital any text. So what I get is basically all my uppercase characters will be converted into my lowercase characters, which is going to be any text, but this time in the smaller case. Now using this exact same approach, let us now write our XPath and make it case insensitive. So let me open up the application and use this translate function. So I'm opening up the application. In this application, as you can see, I have got two buttons here, lowercase and uppercase. And by typing it, as you can see, the text is changing from lowercase to uppercase. So let me remove all of this function inside your p tag and put inside here your translate function. Now as you have learned earlier, your translate function accepts three parameters and the output is basically the text which is all replaced, right? And you want to replace text to be equal to what? To be equal to the text called as Tommy, right? But you want it all to be converted to a lowercase. So translate is equal to the text called as Tommy and everything here is in lowercase. Now what do you want to translate? Tommy here is what? It's a text, right? So you want to convert the text into a lowercase. So you want to convert all uppercase characters to a lowercase character, right? So you know type in everything from A to Z right here. I already have done that right here. So let me copy your characters A to Z in uppercase and paste it here. So all of your uppercase characters will be converted into all lowercase characters, and as you can see it's a perfect match. Now even if your text is converted to an uppercase, you will see that it still matches. Here we go, it is still a match. Let us look at one more thing. If I choose the option called as no space, here only T is in capital, rest all is in lowercase. Even in that case it will still match because it is converting each and every character of text from an uppercase to a lowercase and is matching it with your current text, which is Tommy. So it will work. Now with that said, let us look at a much more complicated example. What if you want to combine both? What if you wish to make a particular XPath which is both case insensitive as well as it ignores spaces. Let us look at that right now. To achieve this, you simply have to combine both of your functions together, which basically is your first function, which is translate, which will be used to convert your uppercase characters to a lowercase characters, and then we'll be performing the function called as normalize-space to remove all of your leading and trailing white spaces. So let's look first at the translate function. So in this function, you basically want to work with the text, and in your text you want to replace all of your uppercase characters, which is A to Z, and convert them into all lowercase characters of A to Z. And once you're done with that, you basically want to copy this function and paste it inside of your normalize space function. So what is this going to do? Let me just put a few spaces here. Your function will first convert your text from uppercase to a lowercase, and then it will then be passed to your normalize space function, which will remove all of your leading and trailing white spaces. So what you are ending up with is basically text which is all lowercase and does not have any spaces. So if I type here something called as Tommy, this is going to work for all cases, that is uppercase, lowercase, as well as spaces. So let me copy this particular function and paste this function inside of my Xpath. So this is a function. Let me remove this and paste the one which we have just created. And as you can see, it is identifying the text called Tommy right here, which has got the leading and trailing white spaces, as well as T here is in caps. And this basically is going to work for everything, whether it's uppercase, whether it's lowercase, whether it's trailing white spaces. As you can see, the XPath works fine. So in this way, you have achieved a very complicated XPath, which is both case insensitive as well as your space insensitive. So it's time to have a quick recap. The very first thing we learn is normalize space, which basically is going to remove your leading and trailing white spaces as seen here. The example is also mentioned. The next thing we learn is your translate function, which basically is used to replace your text, as you can see ABCD, with AC replaced as XY, and therefore you get the output as XBYD. Now with all this done, we'll now look at your other functions as well. Let us quickly go through each one of these functions, starting with your string length. String length is going to return for you the total number of characters which are present in a particular string. Now in this given example or in this given application, you can see you have got many paragraph tags. All of these are paragraphs, and all of them, some of them have got less characters and some of them have got more characters. So what if you want to find only those paragraphs which have got 30 characters or more, something like that? You can do that by using the function string length. So let us perform that right now. So what I'll do here is I will remove off this particular code from application. So I'm finding a paragraph which has got string length. String length of what? String length of the text. Okay, so and I want the length of this particular text to be greater than 30. And as you can see, I have got 10 elements in my web page, which are all paragraphs, which all have text, and their length of the text is greater than 30 characters. If I were to reverse this, which is less than 30, you see that I've got 15 such paragraphs which have got either 30 characters, which have got less than 30 characters in your web page right here. Now we look at the other two, which is floor and round. Now these are very important functions from the point of view of dealing with numbers. So let's take a particular web page which has got a lot of numbers. For example, your stock exchange. So stock exchange. You can open any website, it would not matter. This does not have a lot of numbers. Let me take a different website. Okay, this has got a lot of numbers here. So let's say that you want to identify a text based on you want to identify a particular element based on its text, like this one right here, 53.80. So right click on it and choose inspect, and as you can see, this particular thing is a td tag having the value 53.30. Let me quickly write the xpath of this. So double slash td having the text which is equal to 53.80. Now guys, the problem with this is in applications like this, your text keeps changing very frequently. But if you know that the value is not going to be changed by much, you have an option of not giving the exact value but giving off a round of value. For example, 53.80 can be converted to 54 if you perform a round function on your text. So what I'll do here is I'll use round, R-O-U-N-D, round, and put my text function inside of the round function. And as you can see, that also identifies your text. A similar function like round is called as your flow function, and as the name suggests, it is not going to round off to your higher or lower, but it will always round off to the lowermost value. So let me go back to the application here. So in this case 53.80 will turn to 53 like this if I choose a function called as floor, Floor, and as you see, that works as well. So in this way you can use your floor or your round function to deal with numbers and your string length to deal with total characters in your string. Let us have a quick look at your next function, which is your not function here, and this is the most easiest functions to learn in Xpath. So we'll open up our previous application, which is your Xpath practice. The link again guys I will be giving in the description. You scroll down to the element over here of radio buttons. Now we'll try to identify this radio button of male uniquely, and as you can see here, this is an input having the type called radio and the ID called gender 0. So let us write a quick XPath for this. So double slash input having having the type, so at the rate type is equal to radio, and having an ID equal to gender 0. Okay, I have misplaced the quote here. Here we go. And as you can see, 1 of 1, the element is unique. The other thing to note is if I remove this second parameter called gender 0, as you can see, it is giving me two particular elements over here. One is a male and the other is a female. And the moment I put this attribute again using the AND, it is pointing specifically to the male. Now, this XPath basically states that it needs to be a radio button and it needs to have the gender 0. Now by using your not function, I can change the entire meaning of your XPath. I can say the exact opposite. I can say that it needs to be a radio button and it does not, again, it does not need to be having your gender 0. So the moment you put this in your parentheses, it is now not going to point to the male, but it will point to the female radio button. And this is the way we use your not function. Okay guys, we have reached the last topic for today, which is substring. After this topic, we'll talk about your XPath access. Now with that said, let us come back to substring. So to explain this, let us have an example. Open up your application again. You scroll down to this particular text. Now guys, if you're not able to view this text, simply click random and the text will be generated for you. Now with that said, your first function is substring-after or substring-before. Okay, so if this here is a text, okay, and I give the function call as substring-after, and I give this text as well, which is your codes, then the output will be 10 a.m. because this is a text, this is a value, and substring-after is 10 a.m. In the same way, if this is a text and I give your double quotes again, and then I say substring before, then the text that comes before will be the output. Let us try to understand this with an example in Xpath itself. So here what I'll do here is, let me spy this. This is a paragraph tag. So /p, okay, and let me type here substring. So sub, okay, I forgot the syntax. It is string, substring, right? So substring, give a hyphen, and then write before or after. Let me write after first. So substring after, and then in your parentheses you have to give two parameters. Your first parameter is going to be what substring are you looking at. So I want the substring of the text, okay, and then specify where do you want to divide this string at. So I want to divide the string at my double quotes, right? So once you're done with that, this is going to return for you a particular value, okay, and if I say that particular value should be equal to this text right here, is equal to 10 a.m. As you can see, it is identified uniquely, okay. If I were to say substring before, okay, in that case I need to give the text that comes before my double quotes, before my colon, sorry. So let me now replace the text with this one right here, and as you can see, that is also verified successfully. So in this way you can use your substring. I personally have not used substrings before, but again it is always a good thing to know each and every aspect of your XPath. So in this way I guess we have covered all of the functions. We have covered your normalize space, your translate, as well as your flow function. Now in our next session we'll be talking about your XPath accesses. This year guys is going to be your final video on XPaths, in which we'll cover the most advanced forms of XPaths by using accesses. We'll look at all the types of access such as your parent, your ancestor or self, each and every access there is. The link to this video I will be giving in the description below, so you can have a look at that. Now with that said, if you have any questions in this tutorial, do feel free to comment below and I will help you out. If you like this entire series on XPath and Selenium, do share support by liking and sharing this video, and please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you all for watching.